Hi, I'm Fatima Rodriguez Al-Makhim, and this is a presentation on understanding students with ADHD. And my first slide, I kind of wanted to cover some basics. ADHD, or Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, is a very common neurodevelopmental disorder in childhood years, in which children have trouble paying attention and controlling impulsive behavior. In the next slide, I wanted to look at ADHD in the United States. It's reported that in 2011, it's reported by the CDC, in 2011 that 11% of children ages 4 to 17 in the United States were diagnosed with having ADHD. And their past data shows that in 2003, 7.8% were diagnosed with ADHD and 9.5% in 2007. Now, it's their information comes in increments of 4 years, so 2003 to 2007, and then 2007 to 2011. Those are increments of 4 years in which we see approximately a 1.5% increase in the number of children that are diagnosed with ADHD. And some of the reasons behind it, I understand, is that, well, the major reason that I have learned that the ADHD number is on the rise in the United States as a diagnosis for children is because children are getting diagnosed younger and younger. This is something that I read in an article in which Michael Troy, he's the director of behavioral health for the Children's Hospitals and Clinics of Minnesota. He said that, children are getting diagnosed younger and younger, so of course we're going to see a rise in the number of children with this disorder in the United States. And so if this trend that we see in the information that the CDC presents, in 2015 we should have seen like a 12.5% number of children diagnosed with ADHD in the United States. Some of the common behavior and characteristics of children that have ADHD: they may daydream a lot, they lose or forget things a lot, squirm, fidget, talking out, making careless mistakes, and having trouble taking turns and resisting temptation. So how this can impede learning? Okay, let's start from the beginning. If children are daydreaming a lot, then they're not paying attention in the classroom. So that's super important to them learning and succeeding. And if they are talking too much, they may be interrupting another child, and that can impede the other child's learning as well as their own. Having trouble taking turns, I see that impedes learning in, for example, Kagan cooperative learning groups when they need to wait their turn. And if they're not taking turns, that causes social issues between students, and they are not able to focus on the task at hand. They're focusing on, I want my turn, I want my turn. And that's not positive for the child that may have ADHD or any of the other students that may be involved in that learning process, whether it's Kagan cooperative groups, whole group instruction, small group instruction, you name it. And I also have an image on my presentation that shows a student that is labeled as being lazy, worthless, bad, and dumb. This is a stigma that has to stop with ADHD. Because students that have ADHD do not exhibit all the same behaviors and characteristics. No. So do all students exhibit the same behaviors? No, they don't. Every child has their own mode and rhythm to their body, and children with ADHD may have, two children that have ADHD may have different degrees and different levels of the disorder. So it's important as educators to say every child, I have a perfect quote on here for everyone to read and remember, that every child has a different learning style and pace. Each child is unique, not only capable of learning, but also capable of succeeding. So it's important as educators to remember that although children have a disorder that may impede their learning, we have to find ways around that to continue their learning. Some classroom modifications that could be made. I've seen a lot of different things in a lot of different classrooms, and things that you may do in your classroom may work for a certain student and it may not work for another, or it may work for a while and you might have to change it up. So I have listed on my slide a couple of different pictures of some things that I have seen. For example, the balls at the top left corner of the screen, you see the balls that are the exercise balls that are seats. This is great to keep the child moving while they have to be doing seat work. Also, in the top right corner of the screen, you see some fidgets. Depending on what you're doing, certain fidgets might work for certain things, but I definitely see like stress balls for when children are reading, fidgets. I've also seen things like Velcro under the desk, so that if you are doing whole group instruction and the student needs to be seated under the desk, they can quietly place their fingers on like Velcro, and just that feeling, that sensory feeling that they get from that will help them take in the information that you're doing in the whole group instruction. I've also seen, now this is a chart that may be more useful for home, but I've seen charts like this done in the classroom for work that needs to be done in the classroom. Hang up your book bag. Get your book out. Read this chapter. You know, simple charts like this that can make the child feel successful for accomplishing the task that they need to accomplish are very great, and they make the student successful, and that makes them feel happy as well in the modifications. These are just a few things that I've seen. There are many different ways to incorporate, you know, different learning things for children with ADHD. And not only just for kids with ADHD, just across the board. Classroom modifications for everyone. Charts like this can help everyone. Seats like this with the balls can help everyone. Fidgets can help everyone. You know, you just have to tap into each student's different learning style and try to meet their needs based on, you know, what they can produce. So I'd like to go back to this slide here. One of the things that I forgot to mention is a student may exhibit certain behaviors, and this may impede their learning. Now, when their behaviors reflect ADHD and it does impede their learning, to my understanding, then an IEP can be placed for this student, and in which that student will have the exceptionality label as OHI, or other health impairment, because this is something that is diagnosed by a doctor, may require the use of medication. That's where it falls under IDEA 2004. That's where that exceptionality falls. It will fall under OHI, other health impairment. And here are my resources. I retrieved a lot of information from the CDC. They have lots of good information on lots of different topics. Please check it out if you have any more questions. And also the information that I read about kids being diagnosed with ADHD at super young ages. The link is here. Please read it, check it out. It has lots of great, useful information for all. And keep calm and teach on. Thanks for watching.